Welcome to Dental All Stars. I'm Alex Nottingham, founder and CEO of All Star Dental Academy. And with me is Patrick Chavoustie, and he's the president, owner, super marketer at Omni Premier Marketing. Love this guy. We all love Patrick. And our topic is about summer marketing trends 2024. Welcome, Patrick.
Hey, it's so good to be here. I'm a little worried about being live. It's so easy to get
Oh, yeah.
canceled. They can't edit me out, so I'll try to be on my best
Oh,
behavior.
right. You have to be in your best behavior because I can't edit it all for you. But
To try, yeah.
uh, it's fun with your creativity and your compassion. You have it all. So if anybody has any questions or comments, let us know in the chat and we'll go. So Patrick, I mean, there's being an awesome marketer. Yes. We always want to know our trends that are going on, and they're changing all the time. That's why when we were talking in the green room, that you were saying even just summer trends, because it will change in the fall. So what do you see happening in terms of trends this summer 2024?
Yep. I think as far as dental practices in general are concerned, numbers are actually dropping down. We're seeing more new potential clients call us than we ever have in 14 years right
Mm.
now. There's more demand for new clients for us. And I think they're slowing down, and so they're panicking. So they're looking around to see what they can do as far as marketing is concerned. I think that's a major trend. I'm not sure that this is affecting every practice. Of course, this is why we love working with All Star. If you're dialed in on the phones, if you're really making sure that you're picking up all your calls, you're definitely not hurting like a lot of practices are. But there's no doubt in my mind that it's trending down a little bit. Consumers have less cash than they did this time last year, and certainly the time before. I think that's a trend. Are you guys seeing that with your clients at All Star?
In terms of less cash and
No, no,
money?
no. Just a little downturn on new patients, less calls.
We see it's more seasonal, like
Yeah.
depends. I think there's with our coaches, they always have this term timber. Like
Yeah.
September
September.
is really bad in terms of patients, but
Yeah.
um, I don't, it's interesting who we attract. So far, I haven't, I get a few, but I'm seeing, yeah, well, again, as we talked about before, it's so important that the call conversion and so on. I'm actually seeing a problem. We talked about this too as well, is sometimes they're too busy and you can't get an appointment.
Mm.
And I know, and this is so remarkable as a marketer that you talk about. You're like, uh, marketing is important, but you also want to get to a point where your systems and your internal referrals are getting you so busy that you still need a market, but you're not like reliant. So to answer
Sure.
it, a lot of our clients, they don't come in saying, I need marketing to just to fix my deficits. It's to enhance what I'm doing because I know it's good business sense
Right.
with respect to that. So that's just what I'm going, but that's just my answer. Then you ask every coach that's a part of All Star what they say. They may have a separate, different opinion.
Sure.
So just that's my feedback for that.
We've talked about this before in your program. I talk about it all the time. Marketing's everything that your practice does.
True.
And it's literally everything that you do in your practice, whether it's intentional or not, that somebody's going to see or hear about. Right. So it's the cleanliness of your practice. It's how you answer the phone if you're going to answer the phone. That's marketing. Advertising is how you get what you do in front of people, people that are
That's a good
not
point.
right. So
Right,
those
because
are kind of the
I
advertising part.
remember back in my MBA studies,
Yeah.
marketing and advertising are different things. Marketing
Yeah.
has to do with markets and how you position yourself in markets. It's a much broader tactic.
Sure.
We sometimes say marketing and advertising. Marketing is more strategic. Advertising is the actual tactic to choose to get eyeballs, if you will.
Yeah. I talk about Chick-fil-A a lot, not just because they have good sandwiches, but because they run an amazing
Tasty.
business for what they do, right? It's a $6 or $7 meal. Who knows, with inflation, it might be 25 bucks. I don't know. It's not as cheap as it was, but it's relatively inexpensive. It's the same price point as their competitors, that are serving different types of food. However, they market the heck out of themselves, and they don't do it through advertising. Yes, they have some. They sponsor a bowl game. You don't see Chick-fil-A commercials like you do McDonald's commercials. And if you ask most people what they know about Chick-fil-A, what they like about Chick-fil-A, or what stands out, my pleasure. Right? Every
Their
team member,
service,
my
right?
pleasure. The service, how fast they get people through the lines, that's a minor miracle. How clean the uniforms are, how clean the restaurant is, interior, exterior. That's all marketing. Advertising is that commercial that you see once in a while that Chick-fil-A probably has the smallest advertising budget of any fast food chain, I would
Well,
imagine.
that's a really good point to kind of spend a little bit of time on. And again, strategic versus tactical. So
Yeah.
as you know, and you help us, and by the way, full disclosure, you help us a lot with our own marketing at All Star.
Yeah.
And one of our divisions is hiring, and you're helping there with us there as well too. And we talk about this idea between recruitment or hiring. Hiring is a tactic. Recruitment is the bigger picture, of bringing people to your cause, right? And the same thing in terms comes to marketing. Strategic is marketing. Tactic is advertising. So advertising would be SEO, would be
Yeah.
pay-per-click, would be social media tactics, where
Yep.
you also spend a lot of time too in our discussions, storyboarding. We could do a whole session just on storyboarding. You help facilitate us through that. Is in terms of step back for a second. Now we're going into marketing. Who are you? How do you position yourself in your market? Who are
Yep.
you looking to be? There's a line that if you try to get everyone, you get no one. You have to know who you are. That's marketing.
Sure.
Who
That's
are
right.
you? How do you fit within the markets? Are you we work with a lot of out of network doctors or doctors who want to go off insurance. That's a whole different level of customer service you have to provide versus just, pushing them out, right?
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
on. And I'm not saying one is bad or not. We have a lot of clients that do take insurance, but overall, the theme between what we do and you do as well, Patrick, is customer service, right? We're going to do it in a way that's service based. So I think that's an important kind of uh, way of looking at it.
Way back in the day, going back, I think I was like 19 or 20 years old. I went in to pay a bill somewhere. And this was before, you could pay everything online, and being 19 years old, I probably didn't really pay my bills on time all the time. And I went in to pay this bill I think it was a phone bill. I don't even know what it was. And there was a huge banner hanging up amongst all of these employees that were working in cubicles. And the banner said that maybe if we maybe if we don't answer the phone, they'll stop calling. So in other words, it was saying like, hey, listen, if you want these people to stop calling, don't answer the phone. And guess what? We'll all be out of work, right? It was this message that really made a lot. And I think when it comes right down to it in marketing, and this is why we originally reached out to All Star in the first place, was to help with some clients. If you're not answering the phone, they're going to stop calling. I don't care if it is an insurance patient. I don't care if it's Medicaid. I don't care if it's fee for service. It doesn't matter. You got to answer those phones.
I like to acknowledge Eric Vickery. He's live with us over on Facebook
Oh,
commenting, and we got a
nice.
bunch of likes and comments. What I do when we go live, I let our entire organization know, hey, come hang out, talk with us. He mentioned the hero's journey, which is interesting. And I guess that could also speak to the storyboarding. So hero's journey. Are you familiar with the hero's journey, Patrick?
I am familiar. I don't have it memorized. I know Eric teaches this. I have not memorized it, but
Right.
I'm definitely familiar with it.
So I mean, where are you going with this, Eric? I mean, that's really deep. So he put that down. I'm trying to wonder what he's referring to. But I guess, look, we're all have our hero's journey. I'll discuss it the way I guess I would look at it. We all have this hero's journey. We're the hero of our own adventure. That's the idea of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And I love, but it can go very deep. But the
Yeah.
idea is, and the same thing with the patient experience. Everybody's on their own hero's journey, and you're on your own hero's journey, or
Sure.
heroine, whatever. Not the drug, but the female version of hero.
Right,
So
right,
the
right.
point, the point is we want to orchestrate the type of life that we want to have. And
Sure.
that comes first. That's the storyboarding. That's the marketing aspect of it. And we're talking about trends of the summer. Before you can go into the trends and what to do about it or tactics, you always got to go back to marketing, the big
Yeah.
picture. Who are you? What are you looking to attract? Whether it's storyboarding, whether it's hero's journey, whatever that might be, what are you looking to do? So you mentioned a trend. You find that in the summer, as we're in the summer, I should know this,
Yeah.
Florida, it's summer season round here in South Florida. We just
Right.
get more rain, so I know it's summer. So you're
Sure.
seeing that we're getting a slowdown. And I'm also will put this out to Facebook, Eric, and some of the other coaches and dental professionals that are listening. Are you seeing the same thing? Because Patrick's insinuating that he's seeing for some of his clients that summer's a little slower for new
Let,
patients. So I'll
let
put
me
it
back
out
up
there.
there a little bit. We're hopefully not seeing it with our clients. What we're seeing is
Not with your
potential
clients.
new clients that are calling us. So like our sales team is off the hook, crazy busy right now because we're getting a lot more dentists that are calling us saying, "Hey, I'm slow. Can you guys help me out with
Yeah,
my practice?"
that's what I meant. You're doing well. Ami's doing great.
Yeah,
We talked about that, but you're saying that the dentist, because typically dentists reach out not because, hey, I'm so busy, Patrick, and
right,
I need more clients. They're calling
right,
because I'm slow and I
yes,
need clients. And I
right,
knowing you, you would prefer the reverse. You would prefer, hey, I'm doing fine. I want to work and improve my business, not I'm
yeah,
desperate, because you're very honest. You're like, listen, I can get you eyeballs, but you got to convert them.
that's
And
right,
more patients may not be your solution if you're not taking care of your team, if you're not answering the phone well, which is what All Star we do, phone skills, case acceptance,
right,
and all those type of supporting materials that are critical.
right.
Okay, so you see a trend that dentists are seeing a bit of a slowdown and they're needing more marketing, is what they're
Yeah,
saying.
and we're having to fight harder than ever before to keep our own clients busy. There's no doubt about that.
Uh
It's
huh.
more competitive. It is slowing down a little bit, and that's like I said, it's anecdotal, right? I don't have any stats from the ADA or anything like that that's showing this. I just know our phones are ringing off the hook, and dentists are calling and going, "Look, I'm slow. I don't know what to do. Can you guys help me?" So it's pretty telling. I mean, we've been in business serving dentists for 14 years. When we see it like this, we know something's certainly going on. Let's talk about that September a little bit. I hear that a lot.
September, you heard that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there are some dentists that definitely that go through it. There's a bunch of dentists that have convinced themselves that it's a bad month and it's gonna be. So some of it literally is a mindset. I know that they
Yes.
believe
Self
it
fulfilling
so true.
prophecy for sure.
They've heard about it from the time they got out of the dental school, and boom, yeah, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. There are ways around that, and I know the coaches at All Star can coach around this. Maybe they coach on it differently than I would. I'm not a coach by any means, but of course, people ask me for advice, and I always have to have an opinion, right? Um,
You do. You do.
yeah, I do. Yeah, and you can work on getting your appointments, your patients to book in September instead of August, right? So many people want to come in back to school. That's part of what causes September. Get your patients to book where you need them to book. Keep your doors open for when new patients want to come in, right? If you're booked to the gills in August, and you can move some of those patients into a September booking instead of an August booking, that's going to open your doors up for new patients in August that are being told they can't get into other places. So it's a great way to
That's a
poach your
great point. That's
yeah,
a great point. Yeah, I remember, Eric, we were discussing that. I think either both of you were discussing that. It's a very interesting point because
yeah,
a self-fulfilling prophecy, just because others do it doesn't mean you do it. And it's
right,
very interesting what it's like when you get a new car or you see that car everywhere else, right?
right,
It's the reticular activating system. So there's a scientific language behind it, not just
mm,
woo woo, but what we're focusing on, we're attracting.
yeah,
And subconsciously or consciously, we're starting to do that. So you're saying shift your mindset, don't accept that. And tactically, of course, September, because you're already kind of babying September, I'm worried, and you're letting the patients dictate. And at All Star, we always want the patient to be empowered and feel empowered, but
sure,
we find ways of asking questions and guiding them where we would like them to go without them. They're very happy to do it. So, like
right,
what I'm hearing you say is, let's smooth it out. Let's get them to these other areas where they may not even complain about it. Same thing we were talking about with hygiene. Is like my hygiene is slammed, then I can get anybody in, but you're going to be turning away patients because of that. And
right.
many of your hygiene patients won't mind going out a little further of
That's right.
booking out. So especially those key months and so on. So there are ways to counteract that. Well done, Patrick. Yes, we agree.
Yeah. All right. So trends outside of it, maybe it's a little slow out there. Something that is starting to work, a tactic that we're starting to see work, is years ago. You know, way prior to COVID, maybe 5 years ago, Google came up with something called local service ads, LSA. You'll hear it called from time to time in the marketing biz. And what local service ads are is they're ads that appear at the very top of Google for specific service oriented type companies. They were really big in HVAC, huge with attorneys, real estates, anything done at the home, roofers, windows, siding, all of that is where they started. The cool thing about these types of ads, if you don't know this, is if you select a local service ad as a consumer and you end up using that business, Google provides you with some type of assurance that you're not going to get ripped off. Google is going to actually provide you with some financial coverage if you do. So they
Interesting.
vet the companies that are on there. They make sure that they're really licensed. They make sure that they're really bonded, that they're really insured, that their insurance meets a reasonable criteria. All right, someone could come to your house and say they're insured, and you go, okay, great, they're insured for $500. That's not going to cover your carpet if they spill a bucket of paint, right? So, and make sure that these things happen. The only option, if you as a consumer click on these ads, the only thing you can do is call, and it's through a Google call tracking number, and look at the reviews. That's it. So there's not much else the consumer can do besides that. If you as a consumer call, the call gets recorded, happens automatically. Google actually holds a recording. If you're in a dentist, this is HIPAA compliant. Google guarantees that. Call gets recorded. You can listen back to the phone calls, or the business owner can. And if the call didn't meet the criteria set up with Google, you're not going to pay for that. So it's only a live transfer, which means they would only work when you're answering the phones, right? If you're answering the phones. If you're not answering the phones, Google's going to stop showing you these types of, they're going to stop displaying your ads. And they also have to make sure that they really were looking for you. So if the person called up and said, do you accept my insurance? If you're running local service ads, do you accept my insurance? And you say no, Google's still charging you for that. Now, if the person calls up and says, I'm looking for Dr. Patrick's office, and you're like, well, this isn't Dr. Patrick's office, and they hang up, you're not paying for that. It's a
Oh,
very
nice.
high quality lead. Right now, we're seeing prices between $30 and $60 for each one of those. So each one of those
For
transfers
the lead, for the
for the
the
lead
lead one.
itself.
Okay.
Yep. And you
Got it.
should be able to convert half of those, meaning they should come into your office. So for somewhere around $100 to $120, you're getting a new patient. That's pretty darn good. That's really good.
And at the end of the trends, what I like to do, just to add on to this, is some questions you should ask for a marketing company. And one of
Yep.
them is right there. Are they tracking, helping you track to have that number, the cost of acquisition? You need that.
Yep.
And some of the things that you see. I mean, we talk behind the scenes, and you're like, there are a few, good marketing companies out there, and you don't purport to be the only one.
No.
And we know you're a good one,
Yep.
but you're very generous about that. But there are some that aren't, and that you want to make sure. And the same thing, we do the same thing with All Star. We always say, look, you should always be working with a coach. You need to always be training on customer service skills. We like what we do. We think we're pretty good at it, and we have great reviews like you as well. But if you find somebody similar to myself, similar to Patrick, in their industry service base, and they follow these criteria, that's a great thing to do. It's good for you. It's good for dentistry when you're doing
Yep.
service base, when you're training your team, when you're marketing the right way ethically, and so on. So just putting that out there, our broader perspective of interdependence. Okay, the point is,
Yep.
and this is abundant. We talk about this too, Patrick. This is abundance mentality, that there's a lot more patients that need high quality work than there are dentists. High quality dentists do there, and the same goes with, from our perspective, from marketing perspective. There's a lot that need quality out there. There's plenty of abundance there. So good point. Just wanted to kind of notate that. That's something that I would put on the list as well. So these local service ads are
Yep.
something to look into, and that's the thing too. Another if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get what everybody else is getting. So you always got to be innovating with marketing and trying
Sure.
new things
Yep.
with respect to that. Love it, Patrick.
So they did Google open these up for dentists about 2 years ago, by the way.
Okay.
We were like, oh, we're all over this. We're going to be the leader. We're going to be the first. And like we ran them and nothing happened. But the beautiful
Oh
thing was our
no.
clients weren't having to pay anything, right? Because you're only paying if something happens. You're not
Okay.
paying if nothing happens, right? It's like if you drop 10,000 postcards off and nobody calls, you still pay for those postcards, for the printing, for the postage, right? In this
That's right.
case, you don't pay. So anyways, fast forward 18 months, about 6 months ago, we started running these again, and we've been testing them in between. All of a sudden, they started hitting. So now these are absolutely hitting. If you're first to market with it and you're answering the phone, you're going to get these leads. And when I say answering the phone, it's not just, hey, this is good business like you and I have been talking about. It's
Right.
actually, if you stop answering the phone, Google will stop transferring you these. Now, you won't pay
Really?
for the lead if they're not transferring them to you, but they will stop sending them to you. Yes, because Google wants to send these leads to people who they know are going to pick up the phone. Because if you don't pick up the phone, the user on the other end keeps getting busy signals or gets voicemail. They're going to stop using local service ads. Google is going to miss out on that revenue. They don't want to miss out on revenue. So they're going to give these to dentists who actually live answer the phone, with the exception that you can do a live chat too. So Google will actually allow a live chat to happen on these Google local service ads too. So you can chat with the customer instead of take the phone call. It's still recorded the same way.
Very cool.
I
I
would
like
get
that.
out. Yeah. If you want good high quality leads, and you only want to pay when they actually call, get out in front of this. Budgets you need to set, by the way, Google requires, I think, a $500 a week spend on these. However, you probably won't reach it. You can pause them. So you can say, okay, I'm going to budget $500 a week. And then after 2 weeks, pause your ads for 2 weeks. If your budget's $1,000 per month, wait another 2 weeks, turn it back on. So great place to be, get out in front of this. Great trend.
Okay, I like that trend. Do
Yeah.
you have more for me?
I have, it's not, it is more of a trend than it has been in the last 4 or 5 years. This is going way back. Really start to work on internal marketing. I love talking about internal marketing. Yes, internal referrals, right? Really firing up your patients to become raving fans. The number one reason that I see dentists not ask their patients for referrals is they don't think they're offering a high enough value proposition to their own patients to get it. They don't think they're doing something that is worth it. That might be a mindset issue. Get with a great coach, get that mindset issue fixed. We see it a lot in the business world. A lot of entrepreneurs never think they're really that good, that they're not deserving, and it's not the case. So get that fixed. If you're not offering amazing service to your patients right now, consider doing so. If you want better reviews, offer better service, you'll get them, right? But then start asking your patients for referrals and start rewarding them for those referrals. I don't know what your coaches teach. I'm not a big fan of this, and I've seen this so many times. Like, oh, send us your friends and family, and we'll send you 2 movie tickets and a bucket of popcorn. And I was like, I just spent $1,800 on a crown, and you're saying if I send my mom to you, who's very dear to me, you're going to give me $50. Like, that's what my mom is worth to you. That's what I'm worth to you, right? I just spent $1,800. Don't do that. Instead, when you get a referral from your patient, send them a nice thank you card with a nice gift card, 10, 15, $20 to Starbucks. Thank them very much for the referral. Let them know that you appreciate it. They will want to send you more referrals. It works like crazy. On my podcast, Alex, we've had a guest who's a dentist, who's written a bunch of books, and a really nice guy. And he runs an amazing practice that I think they have 6 or 7 dentists in now. Their internal referrals, I think they get 60 or 70 internal referrals per month.
Wow.
60 to 70 internal referrals per month. I mean, it's amazing, but he's got a whole plan. They have a whole system. They have a marketing plan in place to make this happen.
I would
New
love to do an
patients.
episode just on that one. By the way, I'm
Yeah.
getting Heather pointed out on Facebook Live. Great points, of course, enjoying
Yeah.
the podcast. And Eric was saying here, no bribery, but we will send thank you gift cards, $25 Amazon. So I don't know if you like that or say, Eric, no,
Love
bad.
it.
But
I love it, especially if it's a nice little hand.
because we do have to be careful with gifts. And I think part of, oh, and hey, Jennifer, we got another coach on here. They like you, Patrick. They're on here supporting you, commenting, talking. Overall, and Jennifer's in Alaska, from Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have to be careful with gifts because there is a legal issue
Of
with
course.
that with dental. But obviously, yes, Amazon gift card. But also, most importantly, is the appreciation, the thank you. I mean, if you just get, hey, here's a card in the mail. Thanks for your referral. Like, call me personally. Like, let me know. Like really, the verbiage has to be there. And so this is a thing too. We're big on. I know you support this. Scripts, not a huge fan. You need verbiage, but really it's got to come from the heart. People will see through that. You have to be so trained that you never sound scripted, that the verbiage is embedded and you care. It's just more suggestions because you need some ideas of what to say. But then in a conversation, it comes out appropriately with respect
Yeah.
to that.
I love it when I think that I'm doing a pretty darn good job with something and have like a tidbit, a program, something that is like awesome, like, hey, send them a card. And I still think you should do that. But then you come in and say, oh, give them a phone call. Are you kidding me? Yeah, give these people a phone call. I mean,
Of
that's
course.
nice. I mean, that's 10 times
Of
better.
course. Or do both. Do both. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can
They will
systematize it.
want
I'm
to
not
see you.
saying that we don't have people who remind doctor what to
Yeah.
do. I mean, you want a system to support it, but then you got to go ahead and do the work.
No,
It's critical. So wow, you're saying you have a client that's doing 70
60 to 70.
referrals a month.
Yep.
Wow.
Internal referrals per month.
Internal.
Yep. So
What's then what's go ahead.
when new patients come in, I think this is it was odd, but it works, right? So it seemed weird to me, but it works. So I definitely can't knock it. Is they offer them a bottle of wine to go,
Ooh.
right? All a
Oh
bottle of weight.
wow.
Now they're not spending a lot of money. They're getting this at Trader.
Yeah,
I
that's
think they're getting
nice.
$4 or $5 a bottle.
I,
Patients
I've
really like it.
seen I've seen one that they actually have a connection with a vineyard. They get a custom wine for themselves for only
Nice.
them. Pretty
That's
fancy.
actually brilliant.
Right. And
Yeah.
then you give it to your patients and I think you have to also know your demographic where you're at. If wine is something fancy that wine really looks like wine, but in your community that's popular or based on something that will resonate with them.
Yeah.
Um, thinking about them, creating that family situation. So I love it, Patrick. Great.
The
Good
thing
point.
that I like that they do too is a lot of dental practices give new patients some type of a little welcome bag. Here's some floss and some toothbrushes, maybe a
Sure.
capsule or something like that. And I think that's good. But I think what they do is better. Instead of doing it then, they mail out a package to the customer afterwards. And it's pretty
Hmm.
nice. They have like a little custom branded tumbler, like the Yeti style cup that they put in there that has their logo on it.
So you're saying don't give them on the way out, mail it?
Yes. You're extending your touches with that patient,
That's a great point. That's a
right?
great
So
point.
so if you give it to them today, they've already thought about you today because they're in your practice.
Hmm.
In a week, with a nice thank you note. Thank you very much for allowing us to care for you, and then that gift. Now, when that patient comes back in, they're amazed. By the way, another thing that they do that's really cool is when they have community events going on, they print out tons of T-shirts that they get cheap, really a couple, $3-4 a T-shirt, and maybe let's
Uh-huh.
just say, what's going on in Denver right now? We're located in Colorado. Yeah, I know you know that, but not everybody does. I can't think of
Here in
what's going
Colorado.
on here. I'm leaving this weekend, but I'm going out for 4th of July weekend. But let's just say there's the Boulder, which is this big run that happens on Labor Day or Memorial Day in Boulder. Get a T-shirt that's got like a little brand, small little brand that's like,
Sure.
something about the Boulder and something, a cute little saying on it. And people are like, yeah, do you want a T-shirt when they come in? Sure, I'll take a T-shirt. They wear the T-shirt. If they don't wear the T-shirt, it doesn't matter. It's a nice little gift for all your patients when they come in that's going to help turn them into raving fans. If you're in the Chick-fil-A window and it takes you more than 3 or 4 minutes to get through that circle of 1,200 cars, they hand you a coupon for a free sandwich the next time you come in. You're like, oh, great. I don't mind the 4 minutes, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a nice little gift. It's like $4 sandwich or whatever their sandwiches cost. Maybe they're 20. But you get the point that I'm making here, right? Just these little tiny
Love
things
it.
can help you create raving fans. Then when you ask them, hey, you know what? Do you have any family members or friends that you think would like it here? Right? Light bulb. Yeah, of course. My wife, my cousin, my sister, my aunt, whatever it is, right? So big numbers.
Man, Facebook is lighting up. I'm listening, and
Yeah.
people like as you're talking about this tactic right now is getting a lot of feedback there on Facebook. They're loving it. The cool ideas. Oh gosh, you're just a. I can keep going. I know we both have a hard stop in a few minutes here, but
Yeah.
and we can do more trends. We'll do fall trends as it comes along, but there's no end to your ideas of how to market. And I think it's important that um, we're surrounding this mastermind effect, surrounding yourself with people that number one agree with your philosophy of service and so on. That's why I
Sure.
say at All Star, it's a movement. It's not even so the team, same thing there at Omni, the team, they have ownership in what we're looking to do. They're part of the mission. And I say with the dentist too, it's not a client relationship. We're all together working together on this movement of making dentistry, continue to support dentistry.
Yeah.
And every great, wonderful dentist supports the other and so on. So it's that compound effect. And it's also that accountability that we're committed to training, committed to learning, having these discussions just here on the podcast. I mean, every day we got a great new podcast we're releasing on different areas. Here we have marketing, customer service, hiring. We're going live. Lots of wonderful stuff here that's going on. Now, let me kind of end here with this, Patrick. Give me a handful um, of tips if I'm looking for a marketing company. So I have to say, full-heartedly, Omni is a great marketing company. We've sent you people, and they're very happy. And I know you're the first one to say, "Look, we appreciate that." There are a few out there like you that you are friends with. Sometimes you share and all that. So what makes it special about someone like you, Omni, and others? A select few that are good doing it right, and those doing it wrong. What are some areas? Because you always say with the client, you want them to decide. It's not just because you refer. You want them. What are some areas they should be asking when choosing a marketing company?
Yeah, so this is really a hot topic with me right now because I've had this happen 3 times in the last 10 days where somebody's looking to work with us. They're working with another company right now that is handling all of these items for them. I look at the agreement, right? So they're locked into this contract. So by the way, don't lock yourself into a contract. They're locked into a contract and they don't really know what's happening. If you look at the language, I know you went to law school, you know, the language has to like actually say what the deliverable is, and it doesn't. It's very vague language that really doesn't
Nebulous,
mean
yeah.
we're going to work for you, whatever that is, right? Where they're doing Google paid ads, but the client doesn't actually know how much is being spent on ads. It doesn't say. It doesn't say we're going to spend this much on your behalf, or this much. It doesn't say at all. Just we're going to run Google ads. You're going to pay us $10,000 a month. Some of it's going to go to us. Some of it's going to go to Google. We'll let you know, or we won't let you know. Like, you need to know. Look at what is being spent on your behalf. If you're running Google ads, your company on a daily basis should be able to tell you, no, don't ask them on a daily basis. There's no reason to do that. But on
No, don't do
any day
that.
that you pick up the
Yeah.
phone and call them and say, what have I spent on Google ads? They should be able to, within 30 seconds, look that up and go, Dr. So-and-so,
So
you've spent $832 so far this month.
So what I hear from you is step one, don't get into long-term contracts. We
No.
don't do contracts where month to month at All Star. We don't have to, because, and the same thing with you over at Omni is it's month to month. And I know for you, you often lose money in the first several months.
We lose
But you just go by your same thing with us. But we know that we win in the long run. And then the second point is, what are your deliverables, and that the agreement and the understanding is clear and set up in your best interest, right? Because you see these contracts that are written to protect the other party, and then you have
That's
to be
right.
worried about something. Why are they doing that?
Yep.
So being clear with the deliverables. Okay.
I strongly believe that nobody should ask somebody to sign a contract that they don't believe has significant mutual interest for both of them. Right? If there's
Oh,
not a
I like this quote from here
benefit,
from Heather. When Facebook lights up, I have to acknowledge
yeah,
the audience here.
I
They're
get
like,
nervous. Yeah, go ahead.
if you do a good job for the client, they will stay without needing a contract. Thank you, Heather,
100%.
on
Yep.
Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. And I think a contract just locks in it locks you in to the benefit of only the vendor, not the other way around. It just doesn't. It's just I don't like it. And so most companies in our space, some really good companies that I know in our space, require a contract, and they do it because they can get away with it, right? They do. They want to. It makes them look more valuable to maybe an investor if they're ever going to sell their company or what have you. But that would be something that I would say don't do. Understand exactly what's being spent on your behalf to third-party companies like Google, advertisers, and don't sign a long-term contract.
Don't sign a long-term contract.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you do those
and
two
I see
things,
that also in the consulting coaching space, and it breaks my heart. I feel bad.
yeah,
You know, uh, I have a heart because look, and I know, full disclosure, both of us, our fees are very reasonable. I have some consultants that go to me and say, Alex, you're cheap. Your company's cheap. I don't like, it's not cheap. You get lots of value. I just
yeah,
have a heart. We have to be very careful. You know the same thing, Patrick, that the more you charge, the more you have to show an ROI. And
sure,
you're creating a lot of pressure on both companies. So we at All Star like to say, let's start little by little, see that we're getting lots of value and build on it. But then that's enough. Like, how much coaching do you need, and why do you have to lock in? Because if you're having to spend $50,000 or $100,000 a year, it's hard to make a multiple. It's important. People are more motivated by short-term wins, and you can build on it as well. And it's consistency over intensity. True success, you can get great success spending a little less, but you commit to it over long term, your own commitment, not forced to be committed. You're doing it over. That's the hardest part, is sticking with it. And that's what we're all about. You stick with it, you do it well, for a long term, you're going to be successful. Same thing with marketing. I've asked your advice about direct mail. I send a few and then I give up. You say, Alex, you're going to have to send 7 before you do it. It's that consistency. And I would throw that out there. Just being successful with marketing or training, you need to be consistent. You don't have to spend a ton, but it's more important that you're consistent than spending. So I hear it. Don't do very expensive long-term contracts unless you know what you're getting into. You've done it before. Now, it's different if you're an enormous organization wielding a lot of money and you know what you're getting into, and you have to do a huge contract because there's so much firepower. But if you're a smaller practice, find a nice home and stick with it.
Yeah.
So I agree, Patrick.
Yep.
All right. So those are some of our, and I'm sure there's more, but those are some of the top ones. Because look, my uncle, I write a book about him called My Uncle the Magician. I know you read the first chapter, you liked it. And he's asking, yes, Shelley, consistency over intensity. I just said that. So that was from Facebook, a point. But yes, she's right. She's saying, yes, she agrees with that statement from Atomic Habits. And so in the book, My Uncle the Magician, my uncle is, and I got myself off on a different subject, but that is all about sticking. Oh, we had somebody, as I'm going through it, we have a question. Let me just ask that out there. I was getting up, but it's going to be a good book. Heather is in this process of looking for publishers, and it's just being consistent in that process. You know, the whole book with Rocky Balboa's book or movie.
You don't know that story. You
Stallone. Yeah, and he kept going after it. All right, so Eric has a question. I got pulled off topic here. Hey, Patrick, would you advise a client to avoid a marketing company that's saying pay them $30,000 up front for the first 6 months and then $3,500 a month after that? Why are they charging so much front? And is this a good or bad idea?
So $30,000 upfront?
Upfront.
Yeah, that's insane. So
it's insane.
Eric is one of the most respected people in the industry one of the people in this industry I respect more than anyone. Fantastic.
Hey, wait, excuse me here. Hello.
30,000 upfront. Hey, we actually got rid of our upfront rates. We eat them. We know it's a cost. Right. So we lose. I'm not going to say the number. It's a significant amount of money the first 6 months that we work with a client. But our average client's with us for 5 years. That's our business model. But there's nothing. I mean, their margins. I'll tell you right now, if they're producing top quality work for that upfront fee, their margins are about 70%. That's crazy. No business.
That's insane. Yeah, and to give a shout out to Eric, president of coaching at All Star. I mean, the reason, big reason why our coaching company has been so successful is he really embedded a system of affordable coaching. There's no contracts. I mean, these numbers are huge. I don't understand how a smaller practice could afford the type of consulting that's out there sometimes, or even that type of marketing. How do they afford? It's a lot. And I've seen it happen. I know you told me too. You see it, and it's disturbing. You feel bad for them because they're stuck and they usually can't get out of that. So I mean, this is common sense. And as many of you may know about, as I'm talking here, we lost Patrick here on the call. So he lost his internet here. So that's a good way to end here. We'll end right there. Thank you for joining us. And remember to like, subscribe, and follow here at Dental All Stars and All Star Dental Academy. And until next time, everybody, go out there and be an all-star.